There's a moment your thumb hovers above the screen and your mind freezes before you even understand what you're feeling. Your chest tightens as if you're holding your breath without realizing it, and your eyes blur slightly while the world becomes quiet around you. For 10 silent seconds, your emotional brain reacts faster than your logic, pulling you into a hesitation you don't choose but instantly feel. You stare at the message you typed, and even though the words look simple, something inside you feels heavier than the conversation itself. Your breath sits in your chest like a held question, and your eyes scan the same sentence again as if danger is hiding between the letters. These quiet seconds feel bigger than the message because your brain is already predicting what might come after it. This freeze does not start with the message you're about to send. It starts with the emotional memory attached to it, rising inside you before you even notice the shift. Your body reacts first, your mind second, and the moment becomes heavier than you expected. You read your message again because your brain is trying to protect you from a familiar kind of pain. It remembers moments where you sent something honest, and the reply stung more than silence. It remembers the times you misunderstood someone or were misunderstood yourself, and how small those moments made you feel. Your emotional brain pulls old memories into the present, mixing past hurt with current hesitation. You don't consciously recall the past, but your body reacts as if the same emotional danger is returning. The message in front of you becomes a doorway into a feeling you've been trying not to revisit. Your mind imagines the other person reading your message with disappointment or confusion, even when the conversation is harmless. It imagines your words sounding too emotional or too distant or too unclear, and suddenly every punctuation mark feels like a risk. These thoughts are not facts, but they feel real because your emotional brain reacts quicker than your rational one. You begin rewriting the message even when it already made sense. You soften the tone because you don't want to sound too serious, and then you sharpen it because you don't want to sound too emotional. You try to capture the safest version of yourself, and in the process, you lose the honest one. Your thumb moves away from the send button because silence feels like it might protect you from regret. You hesitate because regret hurts more than waiting, and your brain knows this all too well. Those 10 seconds become a negotiation between fear and honesty, and neither side wins fully. You freeze because you fear being too much for the moment. You freeze because you fear your message will start a conversation you aren't ready for. You freeze because the possibility of being misunderstood feels heavier than the message itself. Your body reacts as if the person on the other side of the screen is standing right in front of you. Your shoulders tense slightly, your heartbeat shifts, and your breath becomes shallow as if you need permission to express what you feel. These are small reactions, but they carry emotional history. Because here's the truth most people never notice. Your freeze before hitting send doesn't come from the present conversation. It comes from every moment in your past where expressing yourself cost you more than staying silent. Your brain remembers when someone ignored your feelings after you opened up. It remembers when you sent a message that was too honest and later wished you hadn't. It remembers the quiet disappointment of waiting for a reply that never came. The emotional brain doesn't distinguish between the past and the present, so it protects you even when you don't need protection. It tries to avoid repeating an old wound by stopping you before you walk into the possibility of a new one. Those 10 seconds of hesitation are your brain trying to keep you safe. But the freeze is not about fear alone. It is also about hope, because you care about what happens after you hit send. You care enough that the moment feels fragile, and fragile things always make you pause. You rethink your message because you want to be understood. You want your words to land softly and not break something unintentionally. You want the conversation to move in a direction that feels safe and honest and human. Your internal dialogue becomes louder than the message on your screen. You rehearse how the other person might reply, and your brain predicts conversations that haven't even happened. These predictions feel like control, but they are actually your emotional brain trying to prevent disappointment. Your fingers stay still as your thoughts spin around the same small moment. You imagine sending the message and instantly regretting it, even though the regret has no evidence. Regret becomes a ghost that appears before anything actually happens. This hesitation does not mean you are unsure of what you feel. It means you are afraid of how your feeling will be received. And in those 10 seconds, your emotional brain convinces you that silence is safer than honesty. Because here is the shift that matters. Your freeze response is not a flaw in your personality. It is a learned survival strategy built from emotional patterns that once protected you when you were younger and more vulnerable. Your brain learned that holding back kept you from emotional consequences. It learned that speaking too soon or too honestly created uncomfortable outcomes. It learned that silence was easier than dealing with confusion or conflict. But now, you are living in a different moment. You are no longer the person who needed that much protection, even though your brain still thinks you do. And in these 10 seconds before you hit send, your mind repeats a lesson that is long outdated. Awareness begins to shift this pattern. When you notice the freeze instead of fighting it, you create space between fear and action. That small space becomes the moment where your logical mind catches up to your emotional one. A slow breath helps your body release the tension it created automatically. A small physical movement brings you back into the present instead of the emotional past. Even a soft internal reminder, "I'm safe right now," begins to quiet the overreacting emotional brain. Your message is not dangerous. Your honesty is not a threat. Your feelings are not a mistake waiting to happen. When you breathe through the freeze, your mind begins to settle. Your heartbeat loosens its grip. Your thoughts return to clarity instead of panic. You realize the message you're holding is simply a message. It is not a disaster waiting to happen, and it is not a test of your worth. It is a moment of communication, not a moment of emotional collapse. If the person misunderstands you, you can clarify. If the reply hurts, you can process it. If the moment doesn't go perfectly, you will still be okay. These 10 seconds do not have to control you forever. They describe how your brain learned to protect you, not how you need to live now. You can send a message without carrying the weight of every message you ever regretted. Your brain will still freeze sometimes, but now you understand why. And understanding is the beginning of freedom. Because once you know your freeze response isn't a flaw but a pattern, you can rewrite it gently. You can choose presence instead of prediction. You can choose clarity over silence. You can choose to hit send without feeling like the world will shift because of it. And when you finally do send that message, you realize something your emotional brain forgot. You are capable of handling whatever comes next, and your courage is stronger than your hesitation.